Alright guys, coming at you live with another Final Fantasy VII video. Just to let everybody know, before you enter Cosmo Canyon, unequip Tifa's materia so you can actually equip it to Red 13 later in this particular session. I'm home, it is I, Nanaki, and of course we find out that that's his actual name. And we're basically going to unequip all the materia from Tifa to equip it to Red 13 later so we can still get our EXP on there. And yeah, this is pretty much the next part of the game. I would also pick up some Phoenix Downs from the shop because Phoenix Downs help out a lot with bringing back the characters from being fainted. So we're going to do that as well. And of course, we're basically introduced to Red 13's backstory, where apparently he basically fought all his life that his father was a scoundrel and a coward. And basically, it turns out that we're about to discover the truth here about what his father was about in the tribe. But that's pretty much what we've heard so far. And of course, I look at the Turtle Paradise sign and we're just going to shop a little bit. Let's see what we can find. Nothing out of the ordinary here that I can think of. We're going to go up to the top floor. And we're going to talk to Bugenhagen. I believe that's his name, or Bugenhagen. I'm not entirely sure how it's pronounced. And of course, he knows everything. So, and of course, in terms of age, Red 13 is 48, but he's actually 15 to 16 years old in his longevity, so it's kind of confusing a little bit. And of course, he also says that reaching out into the top basically makes you blind to seeing the full perspective. And he says he can hear the cries of the planet. Basically, this tribe is basically these people that basically have the ability to hear the cries and the sorrows of the planet, and they basically want to try and help it. And they start to explain to us the main part of the story about the live stream. And that's pretty much where this part becomes a little bit more interesting because they explain more about spiritual energies. In other words, like he shows us the solar system and how the planets work in terms of like spiritual energies and whatnot. And it's like his laboratory and it's like a 3D holographic system. And basically, if all the energy leaves the planet, it basically dies because it doesn't have any spiritual energy to essentially keep it alive or going, is what they tend to explain in this next part. So he basically says if the body decomposes and the people die, then so does the planet with along with it, you know. And the spirits roam and divide, and they call it the live stream, of course. But spirit energy is what they're trying to get at this point. I guess it's interesting to see it firsthand when they describe it because they bring out a showcase of planet Earth right here, and they basically show a little guy walking on it, and they all walk on it, and basically he just drains it away like just on the spot. And he just drains away the spiritual energy like so. And basically, if all of it were to disappear, basically that would be the end of the planet. Essentially, is what they're saying. Don't want to repeat myself so many times, but that's basically the basics of the planet of life that is basically explained here. And of course, they're basically making a reference to Mako energy because they're saying Mako energy drains away the planet's energy, and that's a bad thing according to these protagonists that we're seeing in front of us right now in terms of the story. So now that we're moving, we gotta talk to the elders and whatnot, and now we're talking about Redford Teen's past. Basically, his parents were like he thinks of his mother with pure heart and joy, and when he remembers his father, he's in anger, and he really can't forgive his father, but he really has to. He left mother for dead, and the Gi attacked. He ran off by himself, leaving the mother and the people of the canyon alone. And of course, there's something he should see because it's important for the story development. And this is where we start getting ready for the Phoenix Downs and the grab some Phoenix Downs. I cannot urge this enough. Phoenix Downs and separate the materia from Tifa, because if you don't, you won't be able to do this, which is really essential. You basically use the materia and you equip it back to Red 13 for that small period of time, and this is going to come in handy. Manipulate materia and of course the Titan materia, and now we got our materias all re-scrambled, and now we're ready to go down to the cave. Alright, so now that we're ready to go down to the cave, hoo hoo, or ho ho, or is he Santa Claus? I guess he would be saying hoo hoo because he keeps on saying it. So now we're gonna go downstairs to the cave of Gi, or Guy, or Gi, however you pronounce it, and basically opens up the door. And now we're going in. And I would honestly make sure you got a bunch of Phoenix Downs and your E skills equipped, because once you go down here, you cannot go back out of it unless you have everything ready. And we're going to be going down these stairs, like so. It's always stairs. Why are there so many stairs in Final Fantasy? You'd think they would put in an elevator or something, but they try to make it challenging even with the elevators. I have yet to figure that one out. Now we're climbing down whatever this looks like. um, Anywho, we're going to the next part because that just looks subliminal for something else. So, now we're in the cave. We basically have to open up this area, and we're going to open up this area right here. And first off, we're gonna grab a special ability known as Death Sentence from this particular area, and I would urge you to collect as many items as possible from this cave. Even though it's hard, you gotta collect certain items in order to get out of the cave. Alright, so we're going to use Manipulate on this thing, even though I'm probably going to start off using Bolt. Magic, we're just going to use Cure. I don't want to hurt the thing. And now we're going to use Manipulate. And by manipulating it, we can actually get the special ability directly from it, which is Death Sentence. Sneaky Step, that's the name of the thing. Oh my gosh. They're pretty vicious looking creatures too, but we'll make do with what we got. So we're gonna use Death Sentence on Cloud and Death Sentence on Barret. That way they both get the moves that they need to actually basically move on, and we're going to use Frog Song on it in order to, well, I just used Big Guard, which is kind of a mistake, but we're going to use Frog Song, and we're going to shrink this enemy into a frog, and that will make him a lot easier and a lot more maneuverable in order to take him out. I'm just going to cast Fire, and yeah, Cure. I keep curing my characters when I should be doing other things like taking that thing out. But they got Death Sentence, the move. So now, and if you let the timer go out, you will basically meet up with the Reaper and he will take out your character like he just did with Cloud. So make sure you take out this thing before it takes you out, you know? And basically, that's pretty much it for the E-skill abilities. I would recommend also collecting the added effect materia, the black megaphone, and a bunch of others, but there's really not that much in here that you need to collect except for the black megaphone and the added effect materia. And of course the fairy ring, which is somewhere in the midst of it all. But I collected everything in the span of time that I actually went in here for. So it's gonna be fine. At least until the next cave. Because there are other caves that I gotta worry about in this particular game. So, right now I'm just looking for an ether, but we're not gonna find it, so it's okay. Everyone's ghost of the Gi tribe killed in a certain battle. Certain battle. And of course, the vengeful spirits, they cannot go through the live stream, so they're basically here. Now we're off on our way, and now we're just going to skip ahead to where we actually get to the end of the cave, because I opened up every single treasure there was available in this particular cave. I did spend my time doing it. And now, we're going to talk to the main guy himself, or the main ghost. And those are the Ghost of Gi, and they basically open up. Now, with this boss, you have to inflict him by giving him an item. And the item is going to be an elixir. And we're going to give him an elixir, and it will instantly KO him. Instantly. Because he's an undead creature, so because he's undead, he cannot come back from using an elixir, because elixirs are meant to bring back, I guess, the dead? I don't understand the logic behind it, but that's how it was programmed. So, yeah. The boss went down very quickly in this particular part. We're going to pick up the gravity materia, and we're on our way. Or maybe it's because in Final Fantasy they always look at elixirs as like purity or like it's a pure substance, so it's like holy of some sort. Usually that's how they treat it, so I guess that's probably why I took it out. It wasn't necessarily because it was bringing back the dead necessarily. And now we get introduced to Nanaki's father, which apparently that's Seto. Seto was basically he basically protected the village even in death. He was the sole person the sole creature that actually protected Cosmo Canyon, and he basically died from poisonous arrows, and from the poisonous arrows it turned him to stone. And apparently he told his mother to seal up the cave entirely without telling anybody. So that's probably why they were sealing up the cave, you know? It's a sad story, but, you know, it's a slice of life story, because when you think about it, he didn't know, you know? He didn't know that his father went above and beyond to protect the village. He actually thought that he ran away, but he really didn't. And yeah, and of course now they're complaining that he's 130 years old and that he might pass away, and he wanted to show him his father beforehand, and that's pretty much the part of the story that is really interesting. And of course, now he wants to prove that he is Nanaki, the son of Seto, because now he's full of pride, because he actually found out the truth and he wants to help out with saving the planet now. And of course, we see the tears of Nanaki's father, Seto, coming down, and it's deep. It's a deep story. So now we're thinking we're about to leave Cosmo Canyon, and that we basically say, "Oh, well, it's time to go." I can't believe they didn't give him more time. Like we're a band of misfits. We could wait. But, the group wants to keep going and it's like, "No, follow me. I'm still here." It's like, "Oh, okay." And of course he grew up a little bit and now he's moving on out. So that's pretty much Nanaki's backstory. That's Cosmo Canyon, and now we can use the buggy to move across this area and keep on moving. And of course, now we got to put Tifa back in the group again because apparently they do this a lot in the game where they transfer characters out of your own discretion and they basically take away the material along with them. So now we're just switching them back and we're keeping our materia consistently throughout the story because I just want to make sure that we got this all correctly. But yeah, that's how you can miss a lot of EXP if you don't do the switch aru, as I would like to call it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll catch you guys later in the next game. And I mean not the next game, but the next film, and we'll tackle it then.